that and say, oh, it was natural cause, but really it wasn't, because a lot of cases are coming up in the Supreme Court that will turn the balance. Because I think recently the Supreme Court had went against Barack Obama with the carbon thing that he wanted to do.
Yes.
They went against him on that.
On coal, yes. Obama lost on coal. He's trying to shut down the coal industry. Yes.
And so a lot of things went against him. And the last thing I want to say, I was in the kitchen looking in my cupboard, and I said, wow, I haven't bought groceries in a while. I see a lot of stuff that I had since I moved. I need to throw away some of this stuff and stock up, because you never know, no matter what happened, you can't get to the store. And I thought when you said that, it was confirmation to your ending part about the crash is coming and we need to use common sense. And I thought that was interesting, that I had that thought that I need to stock. I did say I need to stock up on some canned goods and stuff and throw stuff away in case something do happen. And then I heard you, I guess, give us as a second witness to me. So that's all I have to say.
Yeah. Okay. Something that you said made me think of something else that I wanted to say, and I think it just, I lost it again. I lost what I wanted to say. There was one other thing. Oh well, I can't remember. So anybody else have anything to say or questions? No, it's going to be a dead day.
Can you hear me?
Oh yeah, hi Sandra.
Hi. I just wanted to say, it's interesting you were talking about Trump not being, a politician. I have some friends who are conservative, and they're really for Rand Paul, and we always, when they found out we were voting for Trump, it was like setting us up for interesting discussions, to say the least, I'll just say. But I had a conversation with my friend, and I said, why is it that you explain this to me? I really want to learn that all these people, in the last election, they would write in Paul, I think it was Ron Paul before, but now it's Lance, that was on the ballot, even though he had no chance of winning, and essentially giving their vote over to the other side. I said, just explain to me how you justify that, because you just gave away, like of all those people would have voted for whoever our candidate was, then, Obama wouldn't be here. So she said, well, her answer was, well, we are going to be held accountable on that day of judgment, because they, have a little different point of view there, but of every decision that we make and whoever we write in on that ballot. So we better make sure it's a godly person. So as I began to talk to her, it came out exactly what you were saying, and I said, so we are called to judge them based on what? Based on their presentation, or based on our discernment of where they're coming from? Because Trump has not been trained up to be a politician and to, tell stories and to memorize all the articles and the whatever to gain popular opinion. He just gets things done, and he says what he says, and then he's a business guy, and that's worked for him all his life. That's worked for him. And so what you see is what you get. Would you rather, I almost said those exact words, and I just praise God, because I know you've said that before many times. Do you want somebody who you can see that they have some flaws, and are you willing to look over those? If you feel like that God could work through this man could get the job done, or are you willing to feel better about who you're voting for and feel more comfortable because he's more polished and he looks better? Or are you really seeking after godly discernment in your choice? And to me, that just, when you said that today, that's just what rang true. I pray that goes out in the spirit to Americans.
Yes.
These religious Americans who are voting based on what the presentation is. And Trump, I really feel, is doing a good job at exposing these. What he did with Cruz last night and exposing the lies, and it's just bringing it out. And I can see he has like a righteous indignation. He doesn't know how to talk, he's left to get the better of him maybe, which I can totally, it makes a big mess, but it's like you can see when I'm at the end, and we were watching, Jesse and I were flipping through, and we saw some people interviewing him. I think it was even on CNN or something. He just says, I hate lies. He's basically saying you can't have somebody in the presidential position be a liar. And it's just not right. And I really believed him. So, anyway, that's my take.
Who was it that said that you can't have a president who lies? They all lie, but anyway, who said that?
Trump.
Oh,
Trump was saying that. Yeah, he was saying that after the debate, they were interviewing him, on the street or out wherever in the lobby, whatever. They had different interviewers coming up and talking to him. He just said, you could just see it, just really infuriated him.
Yeah. Yes, he's infuriated at the lies and the cheating that's going on with the campaigning. But of course, that's business as usual in politics, and that's what the Lord is trying to break. The other thing that I wanted to say, I started and I didn't finish. I'm not prophesying to you, and it's just a thought that came into my mind when I said to the Lord, now this Justice Scalia died, and so much is hanging in the balance, and I know that you're in control, but I think, he was murdered, and I mean, where does that leave us? What now? And the thought that came into my mind, for whatever it's worth, now you need to understand there are at least, I think, 2 or 3 other people on that Supreme Court that are octogenarians, which means they're in their 80s, okay, that are on in years, that could die in their sleep also. They're on in years, okay. And the thought that came to me is that there will be a rebalancing of the court. Whatever it's worth, there will be a rebalancing of the court. In other words, if one of the, I'm not pronouncing death on anybody, this is the thought they can talk about. If one of the others, if one of the liberal side dies, the balance will be what it was before Scalia died. Although we would really miss him, he was a very strong force. But we'll see what happens. Now, you all have to grow up, brethren. I don't think it was any accident that Justice Scalia died. And I think that God is capable of doing, if he wants to do it, to take someone on the other side. As a matter of fact, when Martin Luther King was at his heyday and they were waiting for this big decision to come down from the Supreme Court, it must have had to do with the voting rights well, that was his main thrust of what he was fighting for, voting rights for black people. I remember, well, at least I saw it in the movie. Anyway, they were waiting for this big decision to come down, and one of the Supreme Court justices died, and the decision was for Martin Luther King Jr. and his position. So God does things like that. You need to grow up and know that God does things like that, and the other side does things like that. And I think the other side took out Justice Scalia. So if it turns out that someone from the liberal side is taken out to rebalance the court, it wouldn't surprise me. I'm not prophesying it to you. I'm telling you it wouldn't surprise me if it happened. Got it? Anybody else? Somebody should say something. Yes.
I just wanted to, as I say, I was talking to my friend yesterday about politics, and it was just a...
Yes, could you please, yes, I hear you read it, but Brooke's talking. Please hold on, we'll call you next, okay? Go ahead.
And my friend, it was just a very positive conversation, because we kind of have the same political views, so every time we get together and we talk, she's like, well, what do you think about this, and what do you think about this, because her dad's a conservative, and she hears 2 sides all the time, and it was just a very positive conversation. So, and she's in my generation, so I think there are a lot of kids, hopefully, in my age group that are starting to be more active and more aware, and I just think that the Lord can really use this younger generation to I guess, sway the generation, the way the country's going. So I think it's going to be exciting to see how that happens.
To see what happens, because I've heard that a lot of the younger people are turning conservative, thinking young people. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, Rita, you're on.
Yeah, when you said that they were talking about Trump using profanity, I looked it up on YouTube right away, and I see that, yes, he did. and the F word and that. And all I can do is laugh because I'm like, wow. I mean, you know, this guy's kind of tough, and he's very passionate about what he's saying. And this was CNN that's saying Trump's profanity tirade, drops the F-bomb. You know, I mean, it's like, I'm looking at it, I'm thinking, this is like swallow, what is it, the Pharisees did, straining at a gnat and swallowing a camel.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And he says he didn't say it, but he implied it, but he shouldn't have implied it either. He said he was not going to do it again. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
this particular one, unless if they manipulate these videos, he said it on this one. But, you know...
Did you hear him say it?
Just for the fact that...
Did you hear him say it?
Well, here's what they're doing on this. You can hear the S, and you can hear the ing, and then they blot out the middle.
Well, that's what he said, that they didn't blot out the middle. He said he didn't say it, but they made it sound like they blotted out the middle, but he didn't say it. But he shouldn't have.
That's possible. That's why I say, did they manipulate this particular shot, CNN, and put this on here?
Yeah.
But anyway, I was thinking, even if he did, it's like they're pointing at every little word they can with him when he's passionate about changing things that need to be changed in America.
Yeah.
And that's what I saw it as, like straining at a gnat and swallowing a camel.
Yeah. This media.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, this media is going to have to answer to God. They're more complicit than the corrupt people in the government. They're disgraceful. They're just completely disgraceful. This media. Yeah. Did you want to say something else, Brooke?
Yeah, I guess regarding Trump, you know, and his profanity, I just find it funny at the two-faced media where Biden said it that one time.
Oh, did he?
When Obama said, passed the Health Reform Act, I think it was, and he did it through executive order. He said this is a big effing deal, and he said,
did he actually say the word?
Yeah, he said the word, and he, you know, he just blurts out a lot of inappropriate things, and the microphones caught it, you know. But just the language in the workforce in the country is very nasty.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't, you know, I have a hard time having them go at him for using profanity when I'm sure they do it all the time.
They do it all the time.
When they're off camera. So, I don't know, I just find it very hypocritical.
Yeah. They're very hypocritical. They're disgusting. I have no respect for the media at all. Even I saw, it was Bret Baier that interviewed Trump after the debate last night. And he was pretty decent to it, but it was Bret Baier who was the first one that attacked him on the Fox News debate, saying, are you going to go third party? It was a direct attack on him, but at least he was decent to him last night. But I have no respect for any of them. It's one of the saddest. There's a lot happening today that severely saddens me, and the condition of the media is one of those things. I mean, the media, they used to be valiant, you know. They used to be valiant in going after corruption. They used to be the option for the little guy that was being oppressed by government and had no place else to go. You go to the news media. You know. It's a terrible, terrible loss to our country, what has happened to the news media. So I'm not only saying it's disgraceful, I'm saying it's sad. It's a terrible loss. We have experienced a severe loss in this country. And I pray that God restores everything that's been stolen. But I know that before that happens, the people have to repent, and they're not going to repent if they don't understand what's happened here. So you see, judgment has to fall. The people, something has to happen to wake the people up, because they're just eating and drinking and marrying and giving in marriage, and to a degree, I do that too. You know, I worry too much. That's part of what's tearing me down. I'm too aware of what's going on. It grieves me every day. But I eat and drink and go after my pet interests and what I'm interested in today, because what else are you supposed to do? But I'm not deaf, dumb, and blind. So many people are deaf, dumb, and blind, saying it can never happen here. It's happening, and they're in denial. It's happening before their eyes, and it's in denial, like my family, you know. Okay. So anyway, anybody else have anything to say?
You just reminded me of something.
Yes, Tony.
You said something when you were doing the exaltation about the news media, about Glenn Beck. I saw an article where he said something last night, and I said, it disturbs me that a news owner or company owner that's supposed to be giving us the news, telling us the facts, let us decide, is openly declaring his decision to support a candidate, which everybody has the right to do, but he's using his power and influence or whatever means to destroy everybody else to uplift his candidate. And I think that's wrong. I think you did mention you were going to touch on something like that, if I'm wrong.
He's going to what?
Now, I think when you were talking about, when you were going over the list of things you want to discuss, I think his name came up and you said you get to that later. Did I heard you wrong or what?
Oh, I did mention his name. I just said I can't. I did read your email, Tony. I know I never answered you. I can't even bear to watch him anymore. I don't know that I was going to say anything about him except that I agree with what Tony just said. News media do endorse candidates. Newspapers do endorse candidates, but what he's doing and what the other media is doing today is not only endorsing one candidate, they're using their power to destroy the other candidate. And that's just, the whole country's unbalanced, brethren. We're unbalanced and we've sunk down into a deep morass of sin, and judgment simply has to fall to bring a correction, or we're going to be completely destroyed. And the great light of the Lord Jesus Christ that has shone so brightly in this country will go out, and I don't believe that the Lord will let that happen, or if it does happen, it has to rise up another place. And I'm hoping that it won't rise up another place, that the most likely place for it to rise up is here, because it's not over, you know, it's not over until the fat lady sings, wherever that saying came from. It's not over until it's over. So I don't see the Lord giving up on us and going to another country, since there's tyranny all over the world. He still stands the best chance of keeping the light, the candle burning here. So a correction has to come. A strong correction has to come. And I don't know that the correction is going to start with the finances. I spoke to you about this recently. The correction has to come to the leadership in the church. Now, is it going to be an across-the-board correction through financial destruction, or is it going to be a correction to the leadership in the church? And if it's going to be a correction to the leadership in the church, how is that going to play out? That it's just a correction to the fivefold ministry? I don't know how that would happen, other than plagues. Whose son just died? Did I tell somebody somebody's son just died? Somebody that was, yes. This man, actually, in the synagogue that I'm associated with. This man, I don't know what his problem was. It's an Orthodox leadership with a Reformed congregation, but this one man is one of the few black hats in the congregation, and he hated me from the minute I walked in. I don't know whether I don't know why he would have even gone looking for me on the website. I don't know what his problem was, but he actually would turn his back on me when I would walk by, and it broke. Without going into the whole story, it broke, and it turned out that his wife and I really liked each other, and his wife is a convert. His wife is a convert from the Roman. She was Roman Catholic, and she converted to Orthodox Judaism, and then her husband, who was a secular Jew, went Orthodox, and that was like 20 or 30 years ago. So somehow I prayed, and it broke, and he stopped treating me that badly, and he knew that his wife liked me, and we had some kind of a relationship going. And then I gave him my book to hand to her, The Three Israels, which says Jesus is Messiah. And the next time I saw them, It was at a function in the synagogue, and he was standing right by her. I knew she was forbidden to talk to me. I went over to say hello to her, and he was right there, like telling me, you better not, he was looking at me like, you better not talk to her. So I didn't want to make any trouble for her. I just walked away. And their son just died, you know, in his 20s. I think he was in his 20s. Their son just died. So am I happy that their son died? Of course not. What I'm telling you is that, I mean, that's the ultimate plague. That's the 10th plague. Now you need to understand that when the plagues fall, now the plagues are falling on Pharaoh. Now listen, I'm not even saying that his son died because it's never because he insulted me. It's always because Christ is in bondage. So can anyone tell me where Christ is in bondage? Based on what I just told you about our relationship and that I had a friendship with his wife and that she was a convert from Catholicism and he's just a crazy person in the church. I understand he did that to a lot of the single women. Probably the reason he turned his back on me was because of the way that I dressed, because they believe their women have to be closed up to here with down to their whole arms covered and their clothing up to here. And so maybe it was just because I was and I never went in pants there. I always went in a skirt. So I'm just guessing, you know, what it was that he turned on me like that. But I heard he did it to a lot of the single women in the synagogue. So based on what I told you just now, why would one of the plagues of Egypt have fallen on this man? What would that make him? If the plague of Egypt fell on his family, what would that make him from a biblical context? What would that make him? What Bible character would that make him? Pharaoh. Okay. So who was Pharaoh not letting go that plague would fall on him?
He wasn't letting his
wife. Yes. His wife. The Lord wants her back. She spent her whole life as a Roman Catholic. Or half of her life as a Roman Catholic. Yeah. But again, it comes back to the same old story. If people don't understand that the tragedies that happen to them are because of what they did, how, well, they can, I don't have all of the answers. But I'm telling you, I see two possibilities. Either the whole country is going to go under judgment, or the Lord's going to hold back the winds of judgment on the whole country until he brings judgment on his church, which is the Jews and the Christians, or the Israel of God, which are the Jews and the Christians, so that he can raise up the Israel of God to save the country. I don't know which it's going to be, and maybe it's not decided yet which it's going to be. One of the, yes, Tony, you want to say something else?
Yeah, we always talk about the political side of things. Have you ever, if I missed it, forgive me, have you ever given a spiritual understanding on the Democratic side between Bernie Sanders and Clinton? Because I don't see any man square up nor people running behind her. It's just like it's some kind of underhanded thing to distract people. Have you ever given your a spiritual opinion or a Lord's opinion on that side of the public election?
I'm not sure what you're asking. Why the people aren't following her? Is that what you're asking?
No, I'm saying, have you ever given an exhortation pertaining to the Democrat debates and what's going on this side of the rim?
I haven't, to be honest with you. I don't watch the debates. I can't stand listening to either one of them. And, well, but he is an out-and-out communist, okay? She is really a communist, too, but I'll be graceful. I'll call her a socialist, you know. But the two of them are radical left-wingers, and they're malicious lawyers. So, and this plan to bring down our nation is very organized and very widespread, and it's going on for generations. I mean, it has its root in a very spiritual high place. Maybe, Tony, is that what you're talking about? That it has its root in a very spiritual high place?
Yeah.
Yeah, it has its root in a very spiritual high place, that they had to penetrate the education system to destroy a whole generation or two of college students and high school students and students of every age, to dumb them down, to not teach them. I mean, don't you think that our students should know the difference between communism and socialism and the democratic process? And so many college students don't understand the democratic process, so they haven't been taught. And a lot of them are believing these, I mean, they're viciously lying. The lies are so, from the two of them, are so severe that I call it vicious. And a lot of young people, someone called into, I think it was Rush. Michael would have ripped them to pieces. Rush was a real gentleman. They called in and they said, "What's wrong with socialism?" Very, I mean, in a very honest spirit. What's wrong with socialism? Well, you're supposed to be learning that in school. Mm-hmm. What they're learning in school is that socialism is good. Mm-hmm. From what I understand, even when the parents are conservative, the children, or the young adult children, are going with what they're being taught in school because they think their parents are old-fashioned, and that's what they're being taught in school also. So the seduction is pretty far. I mean, this is Eve back in the garden again. There's nothing new under the sun. You know, America is the garden, and the serpent came in, and the woman is seduced. So, I mean, I hear what they say, and their lies are just so way out that it leaves me flabbergasted. I had the same reaction with the widow that I see every once in a while. I was so flabbergasted at the things that she was saying to me that I didn't even have an answer to her, an answer for her. You know, saying that we have to let all these immigrants in, we have to have open borders because this is a free country. This is a free country, so we have to let it's a free country. Anyone who wants to come in can come in. That's what she said to me. Yeah, how do you have a conversation with somebody like that? And there are a lot of people out there. They're just, their minds are corrupted. And the truth is that they're all lifted up in pride, that they want to be the good guy. They want to be a good person. They want to show how good and how compassionate they are. And they're totally separated from the reality of what all of these people coming in means. On multiple levels, we cannot afford to keep them. Okay, they're all going on welfare. We cannot afford to sustain them. They're bringing in diseases that have been dead in this country for years. What's happening in Germany right now, I don't know whether you heard this or not, Germany has taken, I think so far, 1 million immigrants of another culture. You need to understand that it's a completely different culture than the European culture. We opened our borders to the Irish. We opened our borders to the Italians. Okay, we even opened our borders to the Vietnamese and the Koreans. You know, and they've integrated. They have their own communities, but they've integrated. But these people coming in from the various Muslim countries, they're a whole different breed of animal. And I didn't mean to insult them by saying animal, that's just a saying. They're a whole different breed of people with a whole different morality, especially of their attitudes towards women. So these immigrants that have come in, Germany has set up shelters for them to stay in. And there are Muslim men raping the women, raping the young girls, raping the women. If they find a Bible, ripping it up or spitting on it, and beating up the homosexuals. You know, I don't think homosexuals should be beaten up. I think the behavior is illegal and should not be tolerated. I think it's a behavior that is immoral, just as murder is immoral. It should be not tolerated. Any other sin is immoral. You know, stealing is immoral. I think it should not be. It should be prosecuted if it's. I don't think we should be going from door to door But it shouldn't be out in the open. If it's discovered, I think it should be, it should be illegal. That's my opinion. But there are certainly human beings that have the right to be defended, to be bodily defended in a free country. So we're letting in thousands, and now millions across Europe, of military-age men that are bringing their culture here, that are not only refusing to integrate, but are determined to superimpose their culture upon us. They think that we are immoral. They don't like the way women dress. I heard one school in Germany, a grade school or a college, I don't know what they call they changed it from when I was in school. It used to be when I was in school, it was grade school, junior high, and high school. Now they have middle school or whatever, one of those middle schools, whatever the right word is these days. And they've actually put a rule in for the school that the girls have to lengthen their dresses because the Muslim men are offended and they're incited to rape. They may get raped, so they need to lower their dresses. This is crazy. It's just the first step to putting the women in burqas. Where do you stop it? So that's what's happening, and there are a lot of people that know what's happening. You see. So you can't. We're letting in people that we cannot afford. They don't work. Okay, most of them go on welfare. They're bringing in diseases that have been long dead in this country. They're bringing in people who do not honor our laws, who think our laws are wrong and are determined to change them. And if they don't stop it, we're going to be swallowed. Well, Europe is ahead of us. Europe is going to be swallowed up. Some people are saying Europe is already finished. It's going to be swallowed up by the Trojan horse that they let into their borders. Although some nations are standing up the list. I heard Hungary was not letting them in, and a couple of other little countries. And Sweden is now putting their foot down, but it's pretty far gone in Sweden. So why is all of this happening? I mean, why did Merkel do it? Because the people that have the power to do it, they know exactly what they're doing. They want a one-world government. They want no borders. And they're using the Muslims to destroy Christianity, and then they're going to come in and destroy the Muslims. That's the plan. Only the Muslims don't know it or don't believe it. But as far as the Democratic Party goes, we have a lot of people voting Democratic because they don't understand that it's not the same party of John Kennedy or Franklin D. Roosevelt. It's radical. It's really the Communist Party, and they just every other word out of their mouth is a lie and a manipulation and deceit, and they're trying to tear down the whole country. The biggest problem is the people have been seduced. They're not educated. They've been seduced. So we'll see what God is going to do. What we understand He has to do is raise up. He has to raise up the Israel of God. So we're waiting. We're waiting for Him to descend into this world and attach Himself to Christ Jesus in at least one place to start with. And then I've told you this many times. I don't know how fast the change would occur or how it would start. I would imagine the way it would start to occur, and I'm just guessing, is that it would start to break the witchcraft off of the mind of the people. The scales would start falling off of their eyes, and they would see the truth. But how will He do that? Are they going to wake up one morning and have the scales fall off of their eyes? Or is the Lord going to have things get so bad that the people have to see the truth, which is His usual MO. That's usually how the Lord does it. He lets evil get very, very evil. So we have to believe that God's going to take care of us, and the safest place to be is in His service. And that's all I have to say about the Democratic Party. Don't have anything else to say. Anybody else have anything to say? Questions, comments? Nobody? Okay, part of me was thinking that, Jeb Bush and and Dr. Carson and Kasich, they should really drop out of this race. But to be honest with you, if they did drop out, I don't know who would get their votes. I don't know whether it would hurt Trump or help him. I don't know. But God is in control, and we'll just take it a day at a time. Okay. Nobody on the computer wants to say anything? Everybody's silent? Okay. Okay, so we're going to end. It's going to be a split session today. I think we'll take a break. We'll take a 10-minute break. And then we'll see what God... I have some notes. I don't know what God's doing here today. It's been another one of those days that I'm not sure. I have 2 diagrams for you that I'll comment on, and whether or not it's going to turn into a whole message, I don't know. So we'll see what God will do. Okay.